Well, folks, I made the trip back, as some of you may have seen, on the 250-mile journey back to Liverpool in the trusty 110 Defender. Now, I've got a little snag list I need to get stuck into today, so let's get started. Now, the first thing I have noticed since I've been back is the engine is sounding a bit noisier than it was when I left. So I'm pretty sure I've used a fair bit of oil. Now, we did obviously put the right amount of oil in the engine when we did the service, but I haven't checked it since I've driven. So the reason for that is the cable has actually gone inside here and I can't release the bonnet. Now, all I need to do is just take the grill off. I'll get access to the cable there. We'll do a manual release and then we'll have a look inside and see how much oil we've used. We'll check the other fluids as well, and there's a few other little jobs as well. So let's get stuck into that first. Right, let's have a little look in the oil department. Well, it's not terrible, but we are on low, so we've got to give that a top up. Right, bit of 1040. Leave that to soak. Okay, let's sort out what we've got here. So, what's going wrong? There you go. Now, there's no stopper, so there should be a little clip there to work against the end of that outer housing. Now, the cable's not in great nick. You can see there, look. Oh, it's not too bad, actually. It should thread back in. Right, so we get our clip. So we've got a little hole there that the cable's going to pass through. So we're going in this way, in. This is our locating pin, if you like, and it's got a flat section there which corresponds to a flat section in the catch. Right, I think this is the best thing to do. I've got my end of my wire in my long nose pliers. Just need to lift up that catch. The hole should be there because the barrel won't rotate. So there. Now we have to push that closed. Okay. I'm just trying to pull that wire through so that the housing stops against that piece we just put in. Remember, it's stopping because of that flat piece in the retainer. It will tighten. But I think that's going to work. So because we've got all this weight of this wheel on here, it's not going to pop up like it normally would. You see it? Pull. There we go. And we're in. If you've got a similar situation on your bonnet and you want to install an emergency release cable, you can just get a zip tie and pop it around the cable outer housing where we put that clip. Okay? And then you tighten it up all the way to the top. You've now got an additional pulley. So we can tuck that behind our grill, and at least then if we need to open it one person, just me, because of the weight, rather than taking the wheel off, I should just be able to pull that down and feed it through my grill, pull that down and then lift the bonnet. And we've got a secondary release. Right, so another little job I need to do is fix the mounts on my air intake. I also want to inspect around here where there's a lot of oil that's blowing out of somewhere. So I've just disconnected these two clamps which are falling apart, and that's what the mount's attached to. So that is what's going wrong. We've got a vacuum line here. I'll leave that on the actual air intake rubber. I'll just loosen the Jubilee clip. We have got the airbox free. That's really mounted nicely and it's super clean, so that's a real result. So this is the problem we've got. We've only got one little cotton reel attached. This one is on its way out. So basically all I've done is I've just lubed the nuts underneath these cotton reels. So hopefully we can get those undone. Right, so what we've got there is we've got a cotton reel here that sits through the bracket with a little 10mm flange nut underneath. So they just tend to spin, so you need to get a 24, I think it is, yep. You get a 24 over the top. Now that means cutting these down, then you're gonna have to do that, but that goes to the top and then you can undo them. But it's a bit of a long drawn out process that I won't bore you with. So another little job we're doing today is we're actually going to be changing the ignition barrel on the vehicle. Now there's two reasons for that. One, because I'm putting new door handles on, which means I'll be fitting new door locks. I'd like them all to match. But the other reason is I can only actually start the vehicle with the key in one way, which isn't a bad security feature, but it's a bit of a pain. So I want everything to be nice and new, all matching. So it's pretty easy to get these swapped over if you're lucky. You can see here a pretty standard steering column ignition barrel setup here. Now you've got two bolts, one here and one the other side. Now these are normally breakaway bolts, and I think these have been worked at, look, because you can just see where someone's been in there with a grinder. Can you see that? Now these have been messed about with before because this has all been cut and they've just got a standard screw in here. So I'm going to take that off, inspect it, and then pop the other one on. Okay, there's a good chance that these are the original bolts because you can just see where the breakaway piece at the top has broken off. Now someone's gone in there and put some very nice little slots so we can undo it, which I guess is possibly a solution for you guys if you're going to have to take yours out and it's not been messed about with. So just get a little bit of access by cutting around the lug, getting access into there, and then looks like they've just used a cutting disc or something just to put some slots in there to undo them. But hopefully we've got new breakaway bolts with our new kit. To get this barrel out, we have to remove this plate here. So there's a screw there, there's another screw hidden behind here on the inside, and you know, it wouldn't be a Land Rover Defender if we didn't discover more issues. So just looking in there, that is quite wet, and I think it'd be a good idea if we replace our foam gaskets on our vents today, just to make sure we don't get any more water ingress. This isn't too bad, so I'm quite pleased with that. Obviously we've got corrosion on the bulkhead, but it's not going too far. Right, let's get this one out and then we can take this plate off. Then our barrel quite simply just drops off, look, like that. I'm going to leave it in situ and actually just offer the other one up so that I can put all the connectors in the right place on the new one. Now you might be able to buy aftermarket ones of these ignition barrels, but I would definitely recommend getting this unit here because this comes with everything you need. Now it's a more modern ignition, but that's okay, it will all fit. The nice thing about it is we've got the longer barrels so we can fit better door handles. We've got the longer, sturdier keys as well. They turn much better, and everything else is exactly the same. Now, do you only get half the job? You do. Okay, so we've got to use our lower plate again, which is a shame, but it doesn't come with any breakaway bolts, so we need to get some of those. Right, here we go. Now these are actually called shear bolts, not breakaway bolts. But you can see what happens. So we're going to tighten them up and then they'll snap off. Now I'm not going to do them up too much on initial fitting because I want to make sure everything works. So I'll get it all assembled now and we'll give it a go. So the one thing to look out for when you're putting this back in position, there's a little slot. You can just see there in the steering column. And then you've got a little locator pin, and that's obviously for your steering lock. So make sure that locates properly. And then we're ready to do it up. Okay, so we've got a new key. And perfect. Okay, so that's all done. Now I'm going to nip to Tyre World over in Speke. They're going to swap over the Boost alloys for some tubeless steel classic rims. And I'm also going to put the 30mm spacers on there. Now the reason I'm doing that, there's two reasons. I like the way it looks, but also, if you listen to this, watch my steering. That is the tyres rubbing. Now, I know with the spacer it's going to help, but obviously I'm probably going to have to adjust my stopper on the steering, but I'm going to try it with the spacers first and see if that gives me a bit more clearance. So yeah, we'll get a little video of them fitting those. They should look good. So we're at Tyre World. The guys are going to be putting the tyres on the steel rims. And we've got a set of Mantek wheel spacers here, 30mm. So I know you're thinking, what a shame that we've lost those boost alloys, but to be honest, I really prefer the steel wheels on there. I think it looks just right now. I've kept the BFGs, really nice. I did just get offered some Conti cross contacts, which I'm tempted to possibly try out. But with those wheel spacers, I've solved my rub on the radius arms, so I can get full lock now, no rubbing, which is great, which is why I like those wheel spacers so much. And if you are interested in those boost wheels, they're going to be on our eBay site. I'll put a link in the description below, and you can grab yourself a set of 4 nice boost alloys with all the nuts. And yeah, so there we go. That is where we are now. I'm going to try today and get the door fitted, and then we will be done for this episode. Right, these are not going to want to come out. I've already ruined one of these, but I'm going to try it with the gun. If not, we'll just cut them off. Right, I've got a feeling that is just spinning the hanger on the inside. So yeah, we'll have to cut them. It's not great in there, if I'm honest, but I suppose it could be worse. Let's try and clean these up. At the bottom, again, I'm going to have to tap all these through and fish them out with a magnet because I just can't get them out otherwise. Oh no! Well, another bulkhead repair to look forward to. Oh, that is a nasty one. Problem we've got down here is this is where all the junk's accumulated. Look, all this has got to be cleared out. Well, it's pretty bad. Now, if you want to see a bulkhead repair, I will put a link above here where we did a proper pucker bulkhead repair. This is not getting a proper bulkhead repair just yet. I will do it, but I've got something I want to try. I've got a product I want to try, and I'm going to try it on this area here before we do the repair. So don't worry, it's going to get done, but this is just to try something out. So let's get some rust converter on here first. Now, please don't freak out. I am definitely 100% going to do a proper repair on that bulkhead. But while we got the opportunity, I got sent this liquid repair kit from L-Ring. They're not sponsoring anything. It's just that we have some stuff off them and they gave us this to try out. So you've got plastic liquid repair and metal liquid repair. And it comes with an applicator gun, like this. Basically, it just squeezes the two materials together in the right dosage to create liquid metal. It does sound too good to be true, I agree. But you can build it up apparently. Let's slot it into the gun, put that in there. It's very complicated. But that looks like it. So, let's fill some holes. very runny. Runnier than I thought it was going to be. Oh no, it's all going to collect. Well, it's tough stuff. So we've done that as a test to see how long it's going to last. I'm going to put some wax oil in here now I've made a hole. If you recall, I had a bit of trouble with this door because it was sticking. It must have been the door that was an issue as well, because that's well spaced out too much now. So we've got to adjust all of that because the other door was wrong. But that is what we've got to work with, and it's just too high. We've got to drop it even more. So we're gonna have to get a nibbler out and just take those slots down a little bit more. So we've got the doors mounted now. I've used the hinges from our Puma build because that's got the Exmoor trim ones on there. So we've robbed the hinges, which have gone on a treat. I've got stainless steel bolts, again off a previous build. And yes, we won't talk about this too much today because I don't want to upset anybody, but we've got the mirrors back on. We're trying to reuse good product. Now, obviously, when we do paint on the vehicle, everything's going to get addressed. You know, I want to sort of take all these back to bare metal. Oh dear, that's one of my worst hates on the vehicle, and all this because it's just aluminium underneath there. So it's not rot, it's just blistering. We got the seals in. Now, a little trick with these seals, I hate fitting these, and the reason is I normally start at one end and tap it all the way on to the other end, and by the time I get to this end, it's like a banana. So what I did with this one, I didn't film it because the camera ran out of batteries, but if you just pinch the actual seal at both ends to make it super tight, and just knock that end on first, then that end, make sure they're on good and tight, and then work it alternately like this with your little taps with your mallet, and just tap it down and make sure these don't move. You'll get it on nice and straight like that. So I've also fitted a lower door seal. Now, a lot of you won't have these on your vehicles because they only actually drilled the holes on the, I think it was the Puma. You can see little lug there, look, so that's not quite engaged. So we need to tap that up. What I actually had to do was drill out the holes to 4.5 mil. I think there were 4 mil, which was too small to get these to knock in. And when you're tapping them in, just make sure you don't catch the bottom of your door. But these plugs are in the wrong way when you buy it, so they sort of stick out over there, don't know why. So you just have to flip them round. I had to drill a hole into the actual frame itself to mount that. But it's gone on a treat, and it just adds more seal to the bottom of the door, which is always an area that gets moisture coming up and starting to rot these bottom doors. So all I've got left to do now is do some wax oil in the channel, and the door's ready to rock and roll. Now, you saw me fit the ignition barrel with the steering lock, and that came with 3 key lock barrels. So all I did was put my key in the barrel and actually put it in the door like that, and it just clicked into place. Well, once that was in, I then used this bar here to run across to this plastic arm, and that means that we can now lock it with the key. And then I had to rob this bar here that goes off the plunger on the handle and moves it down. So we've still yet to do our interior plunger, but I don't know, I might not actually fit them. One thing I have really discovered is I don't like door cards, because with a door card, the door sits out so much further. It's a pain, and I don't like that. So I might try and come up with something that's more flat. The thing I really like about the split doors is that you get all this space for your legs because there's no window mechanism. But even this is okay to drive with. I quite like it. It gives me lots of leg room. But if I then put a card on top, I'm losing even more space. Anyway, that's a pet hate, and I might have to deal with that myself. But it's all done now, so we've got all the seals there. We put our interior seal on there as well. Same rule applies, just pinch it at both ends first and tap it one end, then the other, and then just work your way alternately to get it into place. Then you won't get a banana shape. Oh, I could talk about the jobs we've got to do on this all day long, but the door shuts nicely, all in place, and I'm going to look at possibly painting that with patina. so it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. And that's something that I haven't done before, is paint with patina, but it's something I want to look at so I don't have to paint the whole vehicle. Do you know what? I've only actually spent all those jobs you've just seen me do, took me literally one day. I started late yesterday morning and I've done a little bit this morning. So literally one day's work, 8 hours, and I've done all of those jobs. Now, there's going to be loads of hate comments. That's fine. I know this is bad, but you know what? I really wanted to find out how good this stuff is. And I tell you what, it is super hard. I'm sure there's other products on the market that do the same sort of thing. You know, don't get me wrong, but I put it on there just to see how good it is. It's all holding together really nicely. And we'll come back to that in a few weeks, months maybe, and sort of have a look and see how it's held up. But it was just, I've got the opportunity to try out a few things, and that's what I've done. Now, we're going to keep coming back to the 300 TDI over the next few weeks, just to sort of do a few other little jobs. But you know what? If you've got anything you want to sort of look at or see, drop me a message. You know, maybe I can do something that would help you guys in what you're doing with your own projects. Now, we are contemplating what to do with the rear tub. I had an idea that possibly I could fit a side locker to cover up that damage, because that obviously has to be removed anyway. It would just mean a bit of body repair work on the curve of the body, and that is a lot cheaper than repairing or replacing the whole tub. And I've also got a repair capping section for that corner, so we'll still be lifting the roof off. I've got some really nice YRM stainless steel hardware. It's brand new on the market that makes fitting and removing your roof a lot easier, a lot quicker, and obviously it's stainless steel. I'll be using that, but also I thought, let's have a little look and see if we can do this side locker, because you're adding sort of value and function to the vehicle. You've got to spend money anyway, so why not spend it on something additional rather than just replacing what you've got? That was my thinking behind the side locker. So probably do that in an episode next week. But for now, thanks very much for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't, because we're obviously moving between 2 different vehicles now. You don't want to miss the uploads when they go on. You can just follow the whole progress of the project. So click the subscribe button if you like, and hit the bell, and you'll get notified when the new video drops. So for me today, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.